And welcome everyone to Films with the Women of My Life. My name is Brennan, and joining me tonight is Jess.
Hello.
And
Hi, how is everyone?
Hey,
Okay,
that sounds
she's
familiar.
jumping in early.
Yeah.
And tonight we're doing The Wonder. The Wonder is a new 2022 film streaming on Netflix. Recently, we've changed the show format into all the hosts bringing things to the table themselves, as opposed to me making the whole schedule and forcing all my stuff on people. So now people will be bringing new things to the table that they come across, like Mama K and that Hitchhiker movie that we just did, which was...
Yeah, this is really interesting.
A great start to this experiment. Jess is the one who brought this one to the table. And Jess, how did you come across The Wonder?
Process of elimination. So I had to find a movie that was recently released, and most of the things are recently released for Christmas movies. So I'd knock those off, and then I had a threshold of 80% higher or higher on Rotten Tomatoes. So that took a lot off.
Okay.
And this was one that was left, and I recognized the main actress, so I was like, this is it.
I like
Was there something that almost made the cut? Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to know what almost made the cut.
Maybe that'll be her next pick.
Yeah, nothing that I remember. This was like...
Never mind.
Yeah.
Surprise. It'll be a surprise.
Honestly, I don't think there was an almost. I think I just ended at like, well, this fits all my criteria.
Once you saw one... Yeah, once you saw the fit the criteria, the search was over. Like, all right, got one.
Yeah.
Haunted by her past, a nurse travels from England to remote Irish village in 1862 to investigate a young girl's supposedly miraculous fast. This has, as just said, an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, 73 with the audience, 71 with Metacritic, and 6.6 on IMDb. So... positive, upper positive for most places. It's a Florence Pugh movie. We have always talked about Florence Pugh on here before. She's one of our finest working actresses. And she's in this period piece movie, which I had seen before Jess picked it. And I was like, perfect. A movie I've already seen.
Oh, you already saw it.
I had seen this before. When you recommended it, I'm like, The Wonder. Easy. I saw it. I know. I have all my thoughts ready to go about it. So
you didn't even have to do a rewatch?
I watched some bits, but I remembered.
Oh, okay.
I remembered enough of it. I saw it maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you seen it before, Mama K?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this, so this was a surprise to me. So.
Yeah, I didn't know that Florence came out with 2 movies this year. One being that flop with Olivia, and now this one that's another flop.
Oh yeah, two.
Oh, shots fired early.
Hey, this can't flop if you're on Netflix. If there's nowhere to flop at. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen The Wonder, as I said, on Netflix, and we're going to spoil it here now, so that's where you go and
maybe ruin it.
Yeah. 1862, as I said, Lib is our main character. That's Florence Pugh, and she is an English nurse who served in the Crimean War, and she is sent to a rural village in Ireland. This is right after the Great Famine, so Ireland is not in great spirits, and they're also not super welcoming of the English because of history and the time. And this story revolves around this little girl, and she has a very religious family, and apparently she has not been eating for 4 months, I believe. And the town elders, which is like 6 old white dudes in a room in like a church, are like, we gotta figure out what's going on. There's divine intervention. There's some God thing going on. And then Florence Pugh comes in like, oh God, I have to deal with these fucking bumpkins. So... Florence Pugh has to deal with these bumpkins. She meets with this little girl who claims she's been living off of manna from heaven to survive. And we learn about her backstory, why she's not eating, or is she eating, and how this town will resolve this thing, and how they treat Florence Pugh. And Tom Burke is also in it, and he's a love interest character. We can get onto all that.
Yeah.
Jess, I'll start with you since you, Process of Elimination, picked this. What did you think of The Wonder?
So I honestly don't know how this podcast is going to be more than 15 minutes long because there's nothing to talk about. Like, this was one of the most slowest moving movies I've watched in a while. Like, you can really summarize what happens in 5 sentences. Like, I really don't know what other content of the, like, how they could possibly have stretched this out to an hour and a half. Because honestly, not much happened at all.
It was,
like, 75% in the movie happened the last 15 minutes.
Yes. We've done that a couple movies recently, I think.
Literally the last movie I said, I was like, I would condense the first 45 mintes into 2 minutes. And then, I didn't have that same thought. So you were bored by this movie then?
I wasn't super, super bored. Like, I wasn't, like, painfully watching this. But it was definitely, like, you could watch this, eat a snack, use a bathroom, like, do something, come back, and you wouldn't miss anything. It was that kind of movie.
Yeah. 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 Well, okay.
You wouldn't miss any. Yeah, I agree that it was a slow movie, and you could do all of those things and maybe even go, like, take your trash out, check your mail.
You could literally not watch the movie
and you wouldn't
still know what happened.
You would still know what happened. You wouldn't miss any major plot points, but what you would miss is the nuance of the movie, because this is an art movie. This is an art film, and I think there's a lot that I didn't catch, but I think that and I know saying it's a very slow movie and that you don't catch things, but I think there's very deliberate choices made here a lot. So it's an interesting story. It's a classic. Is this person, touched by God? Is this person a possible canonized saint in the future? Or is there a rational explanation for it? So interesting.
Yeah, it was fine. It was. So your mileage will vary on performance. Florence Pugh performance remains undefeated. She always puts in a good work, and the whole story after the first 20-minute setup, there is a bookend framing device that I have not mentioned that on purpose we'll talk about later. The thing that bookends the movie, that's actually very polarizing apparently. But the actual story itself, once we're 20 minutes in, I'm like, all right, how pissed will I be by the end of the movie? Like what's how angry, because I don't like the story at all. I don't like the setup. I'm not gonna like anybody here except for Florence Pugh, and I'm just gonna watch her get gaslit by these fucking losers in this little village. It's just not.
You're right. There is no one to like in this movie except for
there
her.
Isn't. Even the guy, the love interest, he's just fine.
The love interest.
He's whatever. I don't like. He's not. He's
and he's schmarmy to start with, so he doesn't start off on a good foot.
I agree with all of this.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So
Jess is like, done. Podcast over.
It's like, all right, we're right on track. Another 5 minutes, we'll be good. She we literally she meets all the men in the room, and they're like, oh, we don't know. They go through all their stupid theories, and she's just like, all right, this is kind of simple. You just got to watch her, and then if she doesn't eat, then you're good. And then they're like, oh, don't know. And they got the nurse, the religious nurse that's no help. No one's any help. That's what's so frustrating about watching this, is you're just watching a bunch of people pretend. And they're pretend, not because they're acting, but because they know, everyone knows what's up. Everyone knows this girl's not really fasting. Everyone knows there's not God giving her manna every night. No, everyone knows this. But we all have to sit here and pretend.
No, I think there's the one super religious person.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think a few of those old men actually did believe it.
Oh, that's just pathetic. I just I know.
Well, you're talking almost talking 160 years ago.
That's not that long in human scope. We had technology. We had thoughts then. We knew the Earth was round.
But you had a lot more gullibility. Is that
I know. I don't like watching those people. They're my least favorite people to watch, is people who are just oh god. It's people who are.
This is only the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, Brennan. This is not there's not and it didn't start until a lot later in a place like rural Ireland. So
and they're coming off a famine, so they're coming off the people who are left are the people who didn't leave and the people who didn't die. So these are hardened people and not the people who are upwardly mobile and going to escape. So these are what's left.
Right.
And
they probably already believe that the only reason that they're still alive is by the grace of God. Like, they really probably...
yes.
You know, a highly Catholic community, so that's probably what they believe.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing hinges on how much... Like, so you're gonna enjoy the main performance, but, like, beyond that,
yeah.
I have to hinge on the story of... Is there something divine going on in the movie language? Is there something divine going on? Or is this straight up what I said, a bunch of delusional people or people gaslighting her? And that's what I assumed it was going to be based on the framing device of the movie. But the only other option was what? That it really was divine? I mean, that's also terrible. So, like, I guess the movie is hamstrung by me not liking anything about the story.
I was hoping... Once we found out it was about some weird religious girl, that there was going to be an exorcism. And I'm like, well, this is perfect. It's set up, the time period, the girl's weird, there's a bunch of religion, they're going to do an exorcism. I have not watched a good exorcism in a while.
Yeah.
And, yeah. It was
in person or in the movies. Yeah.
All the ingredients. You had everything you needed. And, yeah, nothing.
That's what I was saying. I was like, it could go that way. If it goes something supernatural is going on, then you could go other ways. Me, personally, I wouldn't like that because I don't like giving credence to the crazy people. But, like, it's a choice.
It would have been better than nothing.
It would have been a different movie because this is going.
Yeah, I was gonna say totally different movie.
Yeah, it would have been more entertaining. Yeah. I agree with you, Jess. But it would have been. This is going for something serious and saying a thing about things because there's a reason the girl is not eating and the reason she's not eating. We
find out first that she actually is eating, and then we find out the reason that she wasn't eating.
Yeah, so she's eating God's manna, which is her mom's spit up food when she gets her night kisses. We learned this like what?
How much food do you think this is? Do you think it's like a couple crackers worth, or it's like a whole bowl of soup that she's literally yakking in her mouth?
It's barely enough to sustain her. I mean, this girl she's waifish, she's sickly in the beginning,
she
and
doesn't move.
Just progresses.
She just stays in that room all day. So it's not like she's like burning calories or anything, but
she gets much worse when Florence Pugh's character tries to make her take exercise and, get good air and things like that. It's probably like all the energy she has left from the small amounts of bread or whatever that she's getting from her mom's kisses. So,
ew. Do you think her mom threw up, or she just kept it under her cheek?
I think she had it in her mouth when she walked upstairs. I really don't think it was very much food because.
Well, whatever it was.
Is that what you think?
It's old-timey food, so this shit is already bad. Like, it's bad before it's been pre-chewed by another person. And now it's been sitting in mom's cheek for, minimum 10, 15 minutes? I mean, even if it's not chewed, you're eating something bad. Like, you're eating the worst dog food. Like, it's not a good start. And that's all you're eating. That's that's probably the best thing in the world to you, because, like, you got nothing otherwise. She's not eating because her brother passed away, and her brother raped her a lot, I guess. And so Wait,
so was her brother younger than her, though?
Older, I thought.
For some reason, I thought it was a younger brother. Because Florence was like, oh, your brother was just a child. So I was like, wait, how old was his brother?
I think he probably was, but she was an even younger child. Yeah, it was like a...
Okay. I was thinking, like, younger than her. Okay. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So, a young child is raping a younger child. Is what's going on here, and they're related. That's it's no good. It's all bad.
9.
It's bad Irish famine shit. Like, we don't no good. So the brother dies, and so in their famine-ridden religious brains, they get to the conclusion that she needs, if she dies from, like, the fasting is so that she will send the brother's soul, free the brother's soul to go to heaven. And if she dies, they both go to heaven, because it's like,
right.
Like, I'm trying to justify it in my head. I'm like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, are they just out of their goddamn minds? Like, how did the whole town be like, oh yes, of course this makes sense. This is ridiculous.
Well, like they keep saying, you don't understand us.
Right, you don't understand us.
I clearly, yeah,
you have
clearly.
to separate too the family and the town. Like the town, I have a harder time with. Like, why did they have to bring in people from away? Why couldn't those 5 jerk dudes just like take turns 4 hours a day or whatever and make sure nothing was going on? Like, why do they have to bring in, you know, a nurse and a sister to try to do this? I don't.
Oh, they got witches to burn. They got gay people to stone. They got all kinds of other important. You know, they're booked
Didn't
up.
seem like it. Didn't seem like it. It seemed like that all they did was sit at that long table in that whatever that place was where they were.
Yeah.
But then you have the family that feels there's like a different
Terrible
piece to me because
terrible.
they're in charge of what's going on.
Yeah,
they're in charge of, you know, the mom is in charge. I don't get the feeling that the dad is all that involved. I feel like he's I don't know what he's doing because she does all the work on the farm and he sits around sitting around. And then there's the other girl, which I don't really know who she is. The other girl that's like Kitty. She's not a nurse.
I thought she was just an illiterate sister.
Yeah, I don't know if she was a sister or whether she was just like a helper. Maybe her family is all dead from the famine. I don't know. If the mother is, I guess the problem I had with the movie, the only real problem sister. I had with this story is that
Kitty's the older sister.
Older sister.
Yes.
Okay. And how come she
she
can't read and everyone else can?
There's a lot of problems in these families. The literacy, the literacy is not on the form for. Sorry, but okay, what were you saying?
Perhaps the oldest daughter doesn't get the opportunity to read because usually in those kind of families, the oldest daughter cannot get married or do anything like that because they have to stay and take care of the family, the parents when they get old. So maybe that's just a way of being like, you can't. You're just going to be here ironing our clothes and shining our shoes.
Not allowed to read, but at least she's allowed to eat. You got to pick and choose in this family.
Even though the soup is cold, it doesn't matter.
Food or words, your choice.
You have the mother.
Actually,
you have the mother who they're trying to make it so that she's a true believer, that she truly believes that her daughter sacrificing herself to go and save her son from the depths of hell, because we're only here on Earth a short time, but we're in eternity forever.
Yeah.
And yet she is keeping her daughter alive. Like, those two things don't live on the same block for me, because she seems like she's a devout woman, but she's still keeping her daughter alive for what purpose? Like, why? Because it's obviously bad for her health. She's going to die eventually, because we talked about how little food it is, even if it's food. Yeah, how I had a hard time reconciling that character.
What's the
commentary?
I
didn't care about her at all.
The religion drives you to do things that don't make sense, that make you hypocritical. I mean, that's nothing new. That's not like a new fresh perspective. I mean, if that's what they're driving home, I mean, I believe you.
Is
that the theme of the movie?
It's just hard to. I don't know. It's just hard. She's just. I don't know. What am I saying? I don't know. I have no words.
I feel like it's a sins of the man movie, because it's a group of 5 or 6 dudes in a room commanding. You know, the Florence Pugh, the mom, the sister, the nurse, like the dudes in the room have all the power, and it's all to cover up the sins of a boy. The boy raping the sister is the inciting
do they even know that
problem? What?
Do they even know? Do those men even know that, or is it only the mom? The mom knows.
The mom knows. See, the mom knows everything. She's the worst of all, because she knows everything, and she
is the worst of all.
And because she knows, and she's letting the daughter die, and she's letting the dudes run rampant all over the place. It's just
a very helpless character.
Yeah. It's just terrible. It's just like the best you can get out of this is like, oh wow, Florence Pugh can act, which I knew already. I knew that because I've seen her in all the better movies.
The mom always just looks like a deer in headlights. Like, that was just her expression the entire movie.
Yeah, like, was she always concerned that she was going to get caught? Because I'm not sure I buy that. I don't,
But what's getting caught?
Yeah,
she's not going to get caught.
She needs a mother's touch.
Feeding her daughter.
Yeah, but if she gets caught, she'll just say it was some fucking demon or something. Like that's what they could do back then. They just make up whatever shit they wanted to fit their crazy thing.
That's true.
It's just crazy how
the demon ate my homework.
Like it's just it's crazy that like you could come to that conclusion like because the boy raped the girl and then the boy died. The girl now must starve so the boy can go to heaven. It doesn't like where I don't understand like where the connections in your brain would like get you there, you know, like how that would be your justification.
That's religion.
But
that's religion for you.
I guess it just that's why it doesn't speak to me in real life either, because I just don't. Whatever.
He died for your sins.
Yeah, exactly. I guess. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean. And the people wanted to believe that, so they wanted to believe that she was going to be not the next coming of Christ, but definitely, you know, a saint in human form. So
what's that going to put their little podunk town on the map or something? Is that the dudes in the room's ulterior
I'm sure
motive?
Well, it didn't. I mean, I got a little bit of that. I kind of thought there was only one of those guys that was a little bit like, you know, damn you, man! Don't you understand that you guys are crazy, kind of thing? And it only happened toward the end. Yeah, the dude on the left side.
He wasn't even on the table. He just was on
he was off to the side, like, you know.
He's a junior member of the council.
Yeah. He didn't even get a spot at the table. He just sat in the chair next to the table.
Ever since the famine, we can't afford a longer table.
Okay, wait. So the scenes when we saw all like 7 men on the table, was it supposed to be funny or humorous in any way?
No, Just you and I laugh at this kind of stuff though. It's like when we were laughing in Avatar at that one scene. Like they're not supposed to be,
but it just looks so ridiculous.
I know, it looks silly. I'm like, look at this.
Yeah, like so. There was shot with zero humor intended.
I mean, maybe...
Yes, it was shot with zero humor intended.
Like, some of the times where, like, the dudes will say something ridiculous, and Florence Pugh will, like, look around the room, like, kind of almost Jim from The Office style, and be like, are you seeing this? How am I the crazy one here? And then, like, everyone kind of silently hangs their heads while the crazy man talks. Like, I don't know, maybe...
She just doesn't understand them. She doesn't understand their ways.
Because their ways don't make any goddamn sense. Their ways are stupid.
Because their ways are not understandable.
Yeah, their ways are insane.
That's the bottom line.
Oh god. So the resolution of this the last 15 minutes of this movie is maybe 15-20 minutes is actually kind of interesting, and it's what I remembered more. The way they're going to like try to like Houdini her out of this situation, because now the man has been found out, so she's not getting mana kisses for anymore, so now she's really actually fasting, and now she's going to die because she has no food, because that's how it works. Right. And so, like, the last-ditch effort is Liv brings Anna to a Clutie well, those little wells with all the little things that hang on them, little pieces of cloth, and she convinces her... I kind of like this, that Lib brings herself to think like a crazy person, like the whole town, and she's like, well, Anna will die.
If I was that delusional and like haven't eaten in like 5 months, you could convince me literally anything.
Exactly. That's what Liv is. That's why I kind of like this. I'm like, oh, look,
that's what she's counting on.
Yeah, a movie thing is happening where the character is using information we've gathered during our journey through the plot to resolve the problem. And so she says, Anna will die, but you will be reborn as Nan, because the whole movie she sometimes kind of goes as Nan. She likes that nickname. So Anna's like, okay, fine. I guess that counts as me dying and saving my brother's soul, and I'll be Nan now. I'm like, all right, fine. You bought it. Who cares? You bought it. And so the way this ends is that Lib tells them that Anna died of natural causes and that the fire was an accident. The fire, by the way, she lights the place on fire. Thinking of the culpability for Anna's death and not wanting to look into anything, they're just like, all right, get rid of the nurse, don't pay her, just send her on her way, and we'll just pretend nothing happened. And you're like, yeah, that sounds about right.
And it's okay that there are no bones for the body.
Yeah, God sucked the bones back up or whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, well, what happened to the parents? How did she burn the house? Like, the parents just at church or whatever?
They were
going to a mass.
So the parents just have no house now?
Huh.
Yeah, they don't have a house now. Did you see the Banshees of Inisherin? They really like burning down their houses.
That's true.
So,
this is part of the Florence Pugh burns.
It's a very
things.
Irish thing.
Well, she burned down the thing at the end of.
Usually people are inside.
She burned down the thing at the end of Midsummer too. It's the Florence Pugh burning things cinematic universe. So
wow,
in Europe, in small European towns, actually. Okay, very similar. Lib is now.
It sounds like she has a niche.
Yeah, it's a good niche. Well, not this time, but the other time. Lib reunites with William, the Tom Burke character we haven't talked about because it's not interesting, and Nan. And they are now posing as a family named Cheshire, and they're moving to Sydney. And I'm like, huh?
Yep.
That's a move. I kind of like that. I kind of like that when they do like the photo too, like the old-timey photo where like you have to sit still and no one's smiling because that's how cameras work back then. It makes me think like all of the old-timey people who were like immigrants. I'm like, were they... What kind of family were they? Or were they just a cobbled together group of refugees? Like this is like...
You could make up whatever you wanted.
I was going to say, there's no 23andMe to
exactly
anything otherwise.
But that's what's kind of cool is like you think...
there is now, so people got to watch that shit.
You forgot a point that the nun knew the truth because she saw it happen and she just didn't say anything.
I like that about her.
Well, yeah, because it's another one of those like, well, the 6 men in the room aren't going to listen to one lady nun, so what's the point of trying? But then she's just going to die.
I think the nun thought that what Florence did was pretty heroic and agreed that was the right decision, so she just kept her mouth shut.
Right, which is the whole problem with this town.
Like, she was using her brain as opposed to, going along with doctrine.
But I like that she used she used their stupid thought process against them, or like to get her way. She's
right.
Anna will die and you will be reborn. Like that's that bullshit that they believe in. She knows that that's not what's happening. She's using their style of speak to coerce and actually get the correct thing across, which I kind of like. 2 wrongs to make a right kind of thing.
I almost thought when she was like, and now Anna is dead, that she actually did die. Because when people are like on their deathbed, like you can actually like, not that you can choose to die, but you can kind of like give up and like your body just kind of breaks down.
Stop
and
fighting.
It's like, exactly. So I almost thought that happened and Florence is going to be like, oh shit. This just went
shit.
Did
you just have to burn the house down now for real?
Now she's got to take the girl back into the house.
Yeah, exactly. I really thought that she just kind of just gave up since she was like allowed to officially.
She was allowed. You've saved your brother from raping you. Now you can rest. She's horrible. Fucking the
whole thing. Women also don't mean anything in this. That's clear. So that's part of something that you have to go into this movie 100% believing. You have to believe that women don't mean anything and that people believe in all of these, really hyper religious pieces. And then I think you can enjoy the movie more. So
yeah, but
you just have to believe all that.
It's too much. Like usually when we do period piece kind of stuff, and like sometimes their beliefs are so weird. There's different ways to play it. Like there's different ways to make like antiquated beliefs interesting to watch and unfold. This just wasn't.
Yeah, but usually that involves like there's probably some fun involved. This movie is 0% fun.
I know. There were some chuckles, but again, I think as Jess said, not intended.
They weren't supposed to be. There's some things I want to talk about though in this movie about how the movie was made. I know you want to talk about the beginning and the very beginning.
Yeah, it's kind of what I want to do
next. That's interesting as
so.
well. But I just want to talk about the fact that she this woman comes from England. She's staying in above like a little bar kind of situation, a little pub, and they feed the shit out of her during this movie.
She eats
gets
a lot.
Oh yeah.
In contrast to what's happening to the poor little Anna who's getting whatever hardtack cracker spit from her mom, and I like that. I like the juxtaposition of that. And even one time, the woman who's at the bar is like, "Yeah, we don't have something this morning. I'll cobble something together for you. Like, you need to eat because that's what normal people do." And what is happening out there?
Which I like that she gets
she was eating a lot in contrast.
She gets like looks from people when she's eating. I think it's part of the famine mindset. Like eating at that time was just like a luxury. So like if you're seen just chowing down, like you're seen as kind of thumbing your nose, and she's British coming over to Ireland. There's the history there, and particularly fresh wounds. So that's right. Oh, here the enlightened British person comes and just eats at my table, and like, yeah, of course she does, because her society's 100 years in front of yours, because you guys are in the fucking Stone Age. The framing device of this. Okay, so let's talk about the other thing that I find very strange about this movie. So you know what it is. The framing device? The framing device. So the movie starts with voiceover from actually the actress that plays the older sister. And she is, the camera is kind of panning through a back like a movie studio. It's got different sets, green screens, lots of equipment, auditorium kind of shit. And it's explaining to you, this is a movie and this really happened. And it's just kind of giving you like, here we go into this play. And then it just kind of moves into a small little set. And then the movie kicks off right there. Florence Pugh's eating at a table. And we don't pull out of this until, I believe, the end, when we pull back out, revealing, once again, this was all a story, a constructed thing, based on real things. And I heard mostly negative things when I looked at like reviews for it. Like, it was a negatively received framing device. What was the point? I'll give you my...
Kitty can't read, but she can narrate.
Oh, yeah. Look how far we've come. She can
really read.
My character can't read, but just so you know, I can read. It was all a play from that actor to prove that she could actually read.
She didn't want to get typecast as the non-reader.
As the illiterate, right.
As the illiterate. Yeah.
Because they see her character, she can't read. They're like, well, that actress must not be able to read. There's no other reason that character wouldn't be able to... Okay, Jess's theory is a good one. I like that. My theory is... I was trying to... How
did that become Jess's theory? I love it.
That was not a theory. That was just something that came out of my mouth. But yeah, that's my theory.
There you go. It's Jess's theory. It's
good theory. Yeah.
I was trying to kind of chew on a little bit like why they would do it this way, because the only thing I could think of from a narrative structure is it deflates tension by reminding the audience this is make-believe and it's a heavy story. But I can't imagine that was the intent, because why would you do that? The only other reason I could think was to make, and this is almost a very me kind of complaint, but like, period pieces are in general boring and not good and not interesting. There are exceptions, as there always are, but I don't really like period pieces as a whole. And after I watched this, I was forgetting most of it, except for that end, because I like the little twist of they become a family and leave. But the thing I was remembering most is, I'm going to forget about this 3-star period piece movie where the acting was good and everything else about it was boring and bland and dumb. But it's got this framing device. And like, oh, it's the period. Oh, The Wonder. What's that? I'm like, oh, it's that movie that tells you it's a movie in the thing. And then she eats the cracker puke and they go off and become a weird family. Like, that's what I'll tell you in a year from now when you say, what's The Wonder? I'm like, it's the cracker puke movie. That's a movie in the movie. So...
I'm going to still think it's about the kid who wears the helmet with the Julia Roberts movie, also called Wonder, I think.
Yeah, that's one. That's
I think I actually
8 years ago.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Jess, you and I saw that movie together. That was a Movie Pass movie.
Wow. I'm surprised I actually didn't remember that. The Wonder itself, like, if you just call a movie The Wonder, it just sounds like it's meant to be a bad movie. Like, it sounds like a movie that's on FearNet. That's like a very low-rated thriller movie. Like, it's just a bad
It's a generic title.
And, like, why is it called The Wonder? Who's wondering? Like, are we wondering what?
I actually did very little wondering in this movie. I thought this was very telegraphed, actually.
I think you could... I don't understand why it's called The Wonder.
Okay, are you going to help us out with this?
I'd like to. But I don't know that I have. I mean, I'm going down with Jess's theme now. Honestly, her theory about what it is. I didn't know why. I found it. It pulled me into the movie, and maybe that's what it is. Is that they wanted something to, like you were saying, Brennan, that it's a period piece, but and it's a heavy movie, and there is nothing fun about it. that's kind of fun and interesting. I think it just I don't know this director or anything, but I feel like
it's the guy who made Gloria and Gloria.
Oh, okay. I think this is definitely about the art, because there's a lot of things that are interesting from that point of view. I think art direction and cinematography and things like that, I think that's the best part of this movie. It's also by house productions. So when they started by showing a house, I thought, oh, okay, I understand that. So is every house production movie now going to start like this, where we see sets and then we go into the actual film? I was honestly, so they go back to it at the very end where they come out. Their first set is a ship. Their last set is a ship. Yep. And they come out of it, and it's the older sister narrating, who we thought couldn't read. And I didn't like that at all. I'm going to tell you 100% that
I could read the whole time.
I didn't like this. Yeah. Like, see, you just watched a movie, and I was like, I don't.
Or maybe my sister's death inspired me to learn to read, and I made this film. Is that what we're supposed to imply?
I don't know. I didn't like it. It kind of scared me a little bit. It left me with a. I wondered about
that is the wonder. We're trying to figure out why they made this framing device.
We're almost there. I think we're close. So, yeah, I wonder if I'm going to like this movie because of this. Probably not. I don't like that ending. I don't like that piece at all. I'm okay with them pulling out like they pushed in, but I don't like her being there at all. What is that? Why?
You just wonder.
It's
more than I dislike.
I reached this happy with the things that I had questions for myself, and forgetting the rest because I'm not interested in figuring out these mysteries. So, Jess, do you recommend The Wonder?
No. So, I don't understand how the ratings are so high. Like, I agree, the one good thing about it is the picture was good. Like, it was a quality film. The shots were good. Like, it was shot well. That's really about it. And I'm not lying when I could say, I can literally summarize the entire movie in, 5 really thought-out sentences. No
Maybe
exaggeration.
Not even that thought out.
Yeah. I mean... Not even being an asshole, like, you really could do that. Like, I really don't know how this got such good ratings and people weren't awfully bored, like it sounds like all of us were.
Well, so what would you, this is, to me, a 3-star and move on and never remember it movie, which...
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe but, if you gave a... Maybe 2.5. So, if all it needs to do is get 87% of critics to say, 3 stars, plus the ones who actually maybe like it a little deeper, and, it's the messaging of the movie is very modern. So, I mean, it has things in it. It's just...
Well, I would consider an 87 would be, a 4-star movie. I think a 3-star
I agree
movie
with
would
that.
Be more towards...
6.
Well, I agree with that, too, but
it's a weighted scale here.
If we look at IMDb, and I think IMDb is a good indicator on this one, it's a 6.6, which I think is much closer in line with what we would think. Maybe even a little high, I would say, for what we're saying, maybe. But, Rotten Tomatoes, although its numbers tends to fall what you actually think, it is a thumbs up, thumbs down aggregator. So if 100% of people gave it 3 stars, that would be an 100% movie, even if everyone thought it was mediocre. Whereas, a polarizing movie where people have a bunch of 5s and 1 stars, that could be a 60%er, even though, you're going to love it or hate it, probably not in the middle. So it's one of those movies that falls victim to, I think everyone kind of goes, like you said, it's a well-made movie, undeniably. I think the acting is solid, and it's got a message, and I think it says it clearly. It's just not entertaining or saying anything new or remarkable, and there's so many movies out there that, do you need to waste your time with this one? Sounds like you say no.
I would see it for the pretty, and that's about it. I wouldn't see it for the story. Maybe the acting only of the main character, but I would see it for the pretty. That's it.
I think that was my initial Letterboxd review, was Florence Pugh completionists only. So, yeah, there you go. You want to see Florence Pugh acting something?
I do want a listener to tell us why it's called The Wonder. I'm curious what other people think.
Yes.
I'm sure we could do some light research and figure it out, but I do that on movies that I care to know more about, not on movies that I say 3 stars.
This is not one of them.
Yes. I like to research really bad and really good. When it's just this, I'm like, whatever. It's the movie where she ate the chewed up crackers. So, I guess 3 not recommends for this 87% critically acclaimed film. So, there you go.
It didn't garner any Oscar noms though, did it?
Those just came out. Yeah, no, it didn't. Yeah. But I mean, the stuff that
it could have.
It could have got a costuming, I suppose. These things always get costuming, don't they? Set design. Yeah. It was led in the nominations. Everything Everywhere All at Once, unsurprisingly.
Surprisingly.
One of the best films of the year. So, all right, and that is The Wonder. Nicole's pick is coming up soon. I think she picked Matilda, the musical. See, these are all things I would never pick. True crime doc, period piece.
I mean, I would never pick that either.
A musical remake. No, just and I like that you all have different methodologies. I don't know what Mama K's was, but I like Jess's process of elimination, and then I have no idea what
mine was. I don't watch the regular stuff that people watch. Apparently, there's a million of those things out there. I thought it was an anomaly.
You shouldn't watch the things regular people watch.
Well, I don't, and that's why I was like, "This is interesting." Why you don't. And you're like, "This is not."
It's not good. All right, so the tournament's also going on my Instagram for the 2022 movie of the year. It's pretty close right now. It's not like most years where there's starts to be blowouts. I think everyone's got points. Everyone's got movies alive. So Brennan_podhost is where you vote on that. And you can find more stuff from us at Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook, or you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. All right. Thanks for being on The Wonder, guys.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Jess. No thank you to myself.
It's not easy picking movies, Jess. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Until next time, this is Brendan signing off saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.